ignoring court orders. Can I have my passport back? I say again, can I have my passport back? You are ignoring court orders.
And please, can you tell us your name?
Ndugu, jinako ni nani bwana? If you are an officer of the law, you better tell us, introduce yourself. Because you cannot just take a passport from somebody without introducing yourself. It works. In my passport, actually they had stamped it with the endorsement exit, which meant I could leave. And then when my colleague, Mr. Jimmy Wanjigi, presented his, all went bunkers because they went for his passport and took it and ran away with it upstairs, and they came back and said, we are not going to allow you to travel. We are not going to give you back your passport. That is in relation to my colleague, Mr. Wanjigi. My passport, which had already been endorsed exit, I said, okay, I can now go because there's an endorsement that I can go. They said you cannot also not go. So we had a standoff from last night, trying to seek an explanation, trying to understand why they would flout court orders. And it is only up to this morning that there was a change of heart. Now, there's something which the Director of Immigration Services is trying to say that, he didn't see any court orders. Well, he was giving back passports this morning without court orders, which means that, he had already had information and was in possession of those court orders. And then they said if we get a copy of court order and the same should be served in the prescribed manner, then we'll be allowed to leave for Harare. Now our lawyer, Mr. Willis Otieno, has come with yet another copy, because we had a copy yesterday, which we have now served on the immigration officials here. The director himself has been served, and hopefully we are going to come back here and try and make another attempt to leave for Harare. I don't know. I cannot rely on their word, although they have said, now we can leave the country and go to Harare.
So when is the next flight?
That flight is at 1:30, Kenya Airways.
Have you been inconvenienced? Do you feel that you will miss where you're going?
I mean, terribly, because now, we are going to a funeral of a fighter, an icon, and even the president of Zimbabwe said, this man fought so hard for Zimbabwe. Part of the changes that have taken place was through his efforts and those of his colleagues. If you listen to the debates in the South African Parliament, there are so many tributes. And Mr. Tsvangirai has not been, a stranger here in Kenya. He has come here many times, including when we have had family tragedies, like when the people's president lost his son. Mr. Tsvangirai was here, and we came all the way to Bondo. So we feel, we have been not only inconvenienced, but this is humiliating, is oppressive, and somebody is going to answer and pay for it. I think Mr. Otieno Willis, our lawyer, is going to see to it that, the matter does not end here. Yeah.
Maybe Mr. Jimmy?
Yeah.
I think I don't want to echo too much about what Jim has said, but let me say it's a very sad day. I've never myself experienced this thing, and I hate to imagine what other Kenyans must be facing. What you're witnessing is, and I would like to borrow this word from Julius Malema, is constitutional delinquents. Constitutional delinquents are now running this country. They have abrogated the rule of law. And really, when you reach this stage, you've got to start deciding what your path is. I think we are witnessing a lot around us in terms of our neighbors. People better get to understand the signs are all over. you cannot continue in this manner. The people will deal with you, and you cannot continue in this manner. Hopefully at 1 o'clock, we should be able to go through. We'll wait and see. And I'd just like to tell people that we are strong. We are not changing. We are focused. We are going to continue this journey, and it's a joyous journey because there is light and a lot of light ahead. Thank you.
So, Mr. Willis, what sort of the Senate has mentioned that you'll be looking for some redress. What exactly will that be?
First and foremost, you must note that once a court has given an order, all those officers who disobey that court order, they will bear personal responsibility for all that they've done in disobedience of the court order and in further infringement of the rights of my clients. And in this case, we will actually be considering going for the individuals in their own individual names, not going for the state as an amorphous entity. So that we want public officers who try to hide behind officialdom to abrogate the constitution, to disobey court orders. They must now start taking personal liability for all those actions. And that, in our view, is what we are considering as a legal team that we are going to take up against the officers at the Immigration Department and even the officers at the airport who are part and parcel of this abrogation of rights of our clients.
I just wanted to add, we are not criminals. None of us has been charged in any court of law at all. And nobody has told us that we are guilty of any transgressions. But for my part, I feel really offended because I'm a state officer, I'm a member of parliament, a leader in parliament, an independent arm of government. And if the executive can deal with me this way, it means that the authority and dignity of parliament is completely emasculated. And to that extent, I'll raise this also with the speaker. If the speaker is for the rule of law and constitutionalism, he has to say something, and if he doesn't, then it means the whole institution of parliament, is completely undermined. Because I should be able to carry out my duties and functions as a member of parliament. I know Tsvangirai also was a member of parliament. We knew him in that capacity, and for us to be treated this way, even Mugabe in his very, very, very bad days, he still allowed Morgan to travel to South Africa, to here, to Washington, to London. He never really interfered. Yeah, and the other thing I was forgetting, when Jomo Kenyatta was declared a leader of darkness and death, still the colonial government would allow him to travel to UK, to London, to the Soviet Union. Of all the places, the Soviet Union, Jaramogi, Mboya, all of them were able to travel and talk about colonialism and saying, Britain should pack up and go and leave us alone. And now his son cannot allow compatriots to travel and go out of the country on business. And Mr. Wajingi is a businessman. Once you treat a businessman the way he's being treated, the whole world looks at how you're treating people in the business community. And we were told that, in the United States, this report is getting its way into areas which may adversely affect even how we trade with other people.
Thank you.
Thank you.